Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel. In today's video, I'll be sharing the latest release from the stamp market, which is just in time to celebrate their 5th birthday. So this month's release includes stamps and dies and stencils that really make it so much fun to create celebratory and birthday cards. Let's jump right into the card making and I'll share the new products along the way. So first I want to share with you the popper die. So you have that main die piece that cuts out the popper. There's a cut at the top so you can have things exploding out of it. There's also a die that cuts stripes that perfectly fit on that main popper piece. And there is a die that cuts out little pieces that are supposed to be the explosion coming out of the popper, and that's why it's cut at the top. There's a little piece that can be a fuse, and there are round confettis. This is the stamp set Cue the Confetti, which can also be purchased with a die set that cuts out every single one of those sentiments. But the biggest, coolest thing about this set is that all of the sentiments fit on the popper, so they're meant to go with the popper if you want to, or use them just with any other birthday card. And they're a really fun celebratory set. Some are typical birthday sentiments, and some are more just like yay and congrats and hooray, it's your day. So there's lots of ways that this sentiment set can be used. So I'm going to put the popper die in my MISTI just to line up where I'm going to stamp the happy birthday stamp from the Cue the Confetti, and I'm stamping it with Breeze ink on top of Breeze cardstock, and then I'm putting the popper die on top and running it through my die cut machine. So I am going to cut a piece of cardstock 4 inches by 8.5 to make a slimline card. And I have a rainbow of poppers where I've stamped the sentiments, different sentiments from that set, in the ink of the same color of the cardstock. So this is one of the reasons that I love the Stamp Market's Color Crush series, is because everything matches and can be bought in the same color. So you can get ink, you can get cardstock, they even have enamel dots, lots of things that you can coordinate together to create a really fun rainbow. I also cut out the explosion pieces out of their diamond glitter cardstock and the circles as well, which I'm just kind of scattering all over the place. So these are not shaker poppers, but you can create the look of movement and dynamic kind of explosion look by creating those little pieces coming out of the top and all of the circles all over the place. And I did use one of the little sub-sentiments that says enjoy your day, so everything can be cut out in that series. I created another card, but I didn't share it on video here, but you can see how I used the stripes here, and then I also stamped and die cut the happy birthday rather than putting it right on the popper. The next stamp set that I want to share with you is called Birthday Queen. Again, stamps and dies are available in this set. So all of these little sentiments and the crown and even all of those little stars can be cut out with dies if you buy the dies. I just wanted to share with you how cute all of these little different fonts look and how great they look in color as well. You don't always have to stamp all your sentiments in black. So look at all these options that are available to you, and you can mix and match them. You can say Birthday Queen, Happy Birthday Princess. This is the crown die, which is a shaker die. So you get this flat piece, which is just the crown. This is kind of the base of the shape. And then you get the frame die, which cuts out the frame that covers the shaker shape. And of course, inside that frame die, there is a smaller die cut that comes out, which is that smaller purple crown at the bottom there. So you see, you get a lot from just those two dies. But the other die that they include in this set is a set of star confetti. So different stars all hooked together on one die. You just run it through your die cut machine and you've got your shaker goodies started out already. So I cut the frame die out of the diamond glitter cardstock from the Stamp Market. I have the base die cut out of pink cardstock, and then I use that base die to cut my acetate as well. You don't want to use the frame die because then your acetate will be too small to cover up your shaker shape. And this will become a lot clearer as we make the card. So I'm putting liquid adhesive on the back of the frame, which I cut out of diamond glitter, and then gluing it to the the acetate, which I cut out of the base. So that base needs to stretch from the one edge of the frame to the other, right? So, and that's how you end up creating that shaker window. Now, I also cut the frame out of white fun foam so that I could make my shaker shape. These are the birthday confetti dies. I love their confetti dies. They're so much fun. These dies can be run through with metallic cardstock. Color cardstock is great because it's double-sided. So if your shaker is moving around a lot, you might want to use something double-sided like just pretty colors of cardstock. And you can see that one of the dies cuts out kind of those little shines and the little starbursts and then little circles. And then I'm going to put the stars that I cut out of diamond glitter cardstock as well. The other confetti die cuts out the little tiny words in script, which is so much fun. And this one cuts out happy birthday and yay, and then all those tiny little dots. So between those three things, I had a ton of fun shakers to put. And then I just added my acetate window on top, and now I'm going to use liquid adhesive behind this whole shaker shape to adhere it down to an A2 card. So it is a small enough element that you can put other things on this card as well, or it's large enough that you could just put one sentiment. But I wanted to have fun with that Happy Birthday Queen set. So I have a couple of sentiments that I have stamped in pink inks and then die cut, and I'm just going to add a bunch to this card. So it's going to say happy birthday at the top, princess at the bottom, and it's your day adhered right to the crown itself. And these are nice, delicate scripts and fun little straight fonts as well. And the little crown can be die cut too. I decided to put that right behind the B for the birthday. I thought that was super cute. But these can be popped up by cutting out the font out of fun foam as well. I wanted this all flat to the card so that the crown was kind of the star of the show and was popped up the most, but you could absolutely pop these up just by cutting out some fun foam with the dies and then gluing those together. So this was a really cute fun card and something totally different. This is the best day ever stamps, dies, and layering dies. So this is the stamp set. You can get the dies, which cut out the little balloon, the little U, the leaves, the flower, and then you can get the layering die. For the shadow, we'll cut out the stamp, okay? So the thin line die doesn't cut out the stamp. The thin line die goes along with the shadow die, or the stamp goes along with the shadow die. And they do that way so that you can do things like this. So I have the best day ever stamp in my mini Misty, and I'm going to do an ombre stamp. So I'm going to start with a light blue and then kind of move my way down. And the cubes are really great for this because you can kind of just place ink exactly where you want it. Now you could, of course, wipe away ink or use a blending tool, a small blending brush, one of the detail blending brushes from the stamp market, but I really love the cubes for this purpose exactly. So I'm going to make an ombre balloon as well with the same colors. Since I already have them out on my desk, I might as well, right? And again, to avoid those harsh lines, you can just use your finger to rub away some ink, or just again use a blending brush if you don't want to get ink all over your fingers. But I don't know, what's the point of card making if you can't get inky fingers every once in a while, right? So I'm going to use the dies and cut out the balloon, the string, and the U. And then I decided to use the best day ever ombre that we cut, and then cut shadow dies out of 3 different colors of cardstock. Now, the Stamp Market is brilliant on their Instagram feed. If you haven't checked it out, you have to. They have the most gorgeous feed. But they cut out different colors, often like a rainbow of colors, and then we'll stack them on top of each other, just slightly offset so that you can see the different colors behind. So I thought that this was a great way. I used actually the same colors of cardstock as inks. So everything kind of gets pulled together and really is a fun way to make a kind of blue card versus all the pinks that I used on the queen and the crown card. So now just a little more liquid adhesive. Liquid adhesive is best for this technique because you can slide those little shadow dies along each other and just have just enough hint of each color peeking out so that you can see it. And then you have them really stacked up as well, so there's lots of dimension too. Okay, I'm going to put down a foam square on the card. I don't usually do that. I usually put it on the element, but I wanted the foam square hidden, and then I wanted the balloon I wanted to be able to move it around so I could decide where I wanted it. And I just cut off the side so it's flush to the card, and then use some Nuvo crystal drops to add some shine to that balloon, and then the Stamp Market clear enamel dots as well, just to add some more clear and dimension. And I love they have some in their set of clear enamel dots. It's clear and white in the set. There are some really large ones, and you can see them there, how big they are, which is just different and fun. This is the big balloon die, which exactly what it says. It is a big balloon die. What's fun is it also comes with a birthday and a happy. The happy is the straight font and the birthday is the script font. It also comes with some confetti that are circle and a string die, and then that kind of little tassel that you can put right at the base of the balloon as well. So this has a ton of little elements in it, even though it's just a small little die set, which I like. You can kind of have some fun, change up your colors, and do some different things. I cut it out of white cardstock. I'm going to use the Stamp Market blending brushes, and I'm going to start with some fresh pink ink and just do some blending on top. So when you have a basic shape die like this, like a balloon, it's really fun to either cut it out of fun colors of cardstock, or even the diamond glitter cardstock or something like that, or do some ink blending and make it again that kind of ombre or multicolor die cut. Since the happy cuts the letters individually, I decided to cut it right out of the balloon so that I could adhere this down to that pink balloon, and it'll give me a guide for the letters. Meaning I want these letters to be straight on this balloon, so I cut it also out of the diamond glitter cardstock, that happy, and now all I have to do is add some glue to them and pop them right into the open pieces, just do a die cut inlay there. So that just for me made it a lot easier. If you're really good at lining up a sentiment like that with individual letters, just go for it. But for me, that was the easiest way to get it exactly how it was supposed to be. I did add some adhesive behind the balloon. I'm going to put it on a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of white cardstock that I have matted onto the pink cardstock. Remember that smaller size of the crown? I'm going to put that right on top of the balloon because waste not, want not. And then I have our balloon string coming off the bottom. So it's a little tiny string. I guess I could have put the balloon a little higher, but then I wouldn't have been able to fit the crown. And then I have all those little confettis, which I cut both out of pink cardstock and the diamond glitter. And remember from Cue the Confetti in the last couple of cards, I have a Celebrate stamp and die cut that I stamped in black ink and die cut out. And I'm just going to put liquid adhesive and put it right on the crown because I did stamp all of those sentiments and die cut them out, and now I'm going to use them all. Okay, this is not a typical birthday card. It's a thinking of you stamps and dies. And what's unique about this is you get the leaves, and all the leaves are together in one stamp, which you're seeing right here. So it's like all the vines and the leaves all in one stamp. And then the second layer is all on one stamp too. How smart is that? This made my day because I was like thinking of having to put veins on all of those little leaves individually. Nope, you don't have to. They just stamp all together, which I think is brilliant. The little flowers are individual stamps. They're also the very easy layering stamps that I'm always telling you about. And if you haven't seen my layering floral stamps video, I'm going to link to that up in the right-hand corner here. But basically, I am going to just stamp the flowers, stamp the little second layers here, and this time I'm going to have 3 layers of cardstock, white on top of pink on top of green, so that everything really comes together. There's a sweet little sentiment in that stamp set that says "You're in my thoughts," which I stamped in black ink at the bottom. And I used some liquid adhesive to put the vines and the leaves down. And then I forgot about stamping the little flower centers, so I'm going to use just an acrylic block because the dot is so tiny and just stamp them right on the flowers. Super, super simple, but I don't know, I really like this card. I think it's super sweet. Next up is the Posies and Leaves dies. So you can basically, with this set, cut out 2 different sizes of flowers. There are 3 or 4 different sizes of leaves. Some of the leaves have second layers of veins for the leaves. Some of them die cut them on the leaf itself. The flowers have die cut little elements on the petals. And then there's 2 flower centers, a large one and a small one. So again, on the Stamp Market's Instagram feed, I am telling you, go over there. They have tons of really great ideas. There's a flower where they put 2 different colors of pink popped up on top of each other. And I thought that that was such a great way to add dimension and interest to these die cut flowers that already have tons of it because of those little die cut elements and the little flower centers. And I also cut out everything from the die set so that you could see it all. So there are those really small leaves where I put the veins on top. There's like kind of that medium leaf where I put the veins on top. And then there are the leaves where the veins are cut out. There's also 3 pieces of stem that you can use. Now, again, you can put this together however you want. You can use a small piece of stem only with 1 little flower. I saw them do that with a tag as well. You can have the whole stem and small stems coming off the side. There's really no rules for this. You can just have fun creating a bouquet of flowers. You can just, I mean, really the ability to create a bouquet or a plant or anything is only limited by your imagination. So have fun, like don't stress about how it has to look or is supposed to look. Just kind of go for it and make a really cute card with lots of dimension, very simply, because it's all just die cutting, right? So I'm just using some more foam adhesive and then some liquid adhesive depending on if I want it flat or just, popped up on the card. This is the Perfect Friend die set, and I actually did not have a friend sentiment die yet, so this was just right in time. So I've cut the shadow out of white cardstock and white fun foam. I cut the smaller script of Friend out of it's Breeze cardstock, and then I am using the ocean ink with the detailed brush just to add again a little bit of shadow at the bottom there. I am really into that ombre look right now, I guess, because I use it all the time. So I just used a little liquid adhesive to put the script on top of the shadow, and then the dot was stuck in the die, which is actually a real benefit. If that happens to you, don't freak. It's actually really good. So I put a little dot of glue on the shadow of the white cardstock, and then I flipped the die over, put the little dot right over the shadow dot, and then take a piercer or my Spellbinder's tool-in-one and just pop that little piece out, and then it's adhered to that shadow. So it just actually makes it really easy. And then of course, like I mentioned before, if you cut the shadow out of white fun foam, it's a really easy way to pop this up rather than having to cut out tiny little pieces of foam tape. I prefer just to either cut out multiple layers of cardstock or cut out 1 layer of fun foam, and it just fits so perfectly right on that flower background that we created there, and then just add that little dot in there. And just again, super, super simple because it's all die cutting, but so much fun and just a pretty little card. Okay, next up is the Painterly Bouquet, which comes in stamps, dies, and a foil plate. So I've stamped and die cut several of the flowers so you can see how they turn out. Super, super simple. Again, I will say the Stamp Market's layering stamps are very basic. Oftentimes they are just either 2 or 3 layers, and they're very forgiving in that as a painterly bouquet, you can kind of mess around with where you put it. So that was the foil plate there, and I did foil it in gold cardstock. So when you're trying to create the bouquet, if you have the foil plate, you have a background outline of exactly what the bouquet can look like when it's done. So that makes it really easy. If you stamped and die cut all those pieces, you could even pop them up on that foiled background, or you can stamp right over that foiled background. And the nice thing about that is that the foil kind of resists the ink a little bit, so you'll still see some gold foil as well as all of the ink color choices that you choose. So I'm just going to go through this really quickly so you can see how simple these layers are, because I feel like maybe you all don't believe me that they're super simple. I know a bunch of you say that, you really struggle with layering stamps, and trust me, I do too. These are very basic. There's just a couple of layers. And like I mentioned, because this look is like kind of that watercolor look, it doesn't have to look exactly like the picture on the how-to. You can kind of mess up a little bit and it won't, like, nobody will know. So I did mess up here. I got some ink on that cardstock. So I tried to rub it away with the sand eraser. It didn't want to go. So I decided to just use some white gel pen to cover up those little mistakes. So I stamped the thank and the U in black ink and die cut those out. You could see that I die cut them first and then stamped them because they're so tiny, and the U is kind of that delicate look. Sometimes it's easier to do it that way. Just a really pretty little bouquet and so much fun to create. Okay, this is fun. There's a free happy birthday die with $100 order while supplies last. So I'm telling you about it now so you have first crack at it. And it's this cool square tag that you can cut out in one color, layer on top of another color, and then even cut out of a third color so that you can have, the 3 different colors on one tag. And that's what I did here. I cut it out of blue cardstock, backed it in white, and then cut out the purple cardstock and die cut inlay those letters right on top. But this one, I decided to cut it out in white, and then I'm going to use some tape runner to adhere it down to another piece of white cardstock. And I know right now you think I'm probably a little crazy because white on white, like nobody can see that, but I decided I really wanted to use my detailed blending brushes again, and they are perfect for this technique. So just taking out some detailed blending brushes and some ink, and I'm going to, of course, make a rainbow. I mean, come on, it was begging for that. So I'm going to ink blend each of the letters, a different color of the rainbow. And yes, I did include purple. I know that some of you get very unhappy when I don't include purple. So I did this time. I have all the colors of the rainbow represented here. And then once they are ink blended and a little dry, just give them a second. I really didn't give them much time. Once I was done with happy, I started gluing it down just to see how it looked. And I just didn't want to get ink on the background, which is what I always do because my fingers are inky, the thing I'm working on is inky, the brushes are right there, the ink cubes are right there. So just give it that time for a couple of letters so that it dries a little bit so that you don't get ink on the background, because that white background just looks great with those rainbow letters. I think it's just a different fun look. And the other thing that I don't know if I mentioned is that there's a little reinforcement die. So I did glue that down, but then because I had backed it in white cardstock, I needed to cut out the hole again. So it does cut out the hole, but if you want to back it in cardstock, you will just have to repunch that hole. And then I just used some black and white baker's twine. I thought that was a nice contrast to all those light, happy colors, and just tied a double weird knot because I like the little loop at the end. I wanted to wish the Stamp Market a very happy birthday, and I hope you enjoyed seeing all of these new supplies that help you celebrate the milestones in your life. If you're interested in checking out the supplies that I used today, they'll all be linked down in the YouTube description box below the video. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure to check out their Valentine's and Love release over here. As always, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. The February 2020, did I say 2020 in the last one? I think I did. Oops. We'll just have to cut that out. And your family and friends, there was no point to that statement. No, they won't be linked in the comments.